and Moses had a fight over the thing up on the hill, the mountain there, and they dropped the stone and when and then they built another. They took all the things that stone, melted down and built another cow, another statue to a black woman. Because they said when they were worshiping Hathor, the golden calf, they weren't hungry. Naturally, if you deal with a black sister, you're never hungry.
Praise and honor to the elders.
I'm sorry, Jesse Jackson. Man, when people were calling themselves African American, Jesse Jackson's great grandmother to the 10th time removed wasn't a dream. People have been calling themselves African American. You had the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Look, Jesse jumped into something that he always jumped. And what Jesse should have done, if he was honest, was to say, look, I used a term I didn't have anything to do in its creation. Black people have been calling themselves Africans from the time they've been there, before they was forced on the first ship by the Catholic, by Pope Martin V. I like history. I like our story. Pope Martin V of the Roman Catholic Church, for you Romans, started the slave trade using the Knights of Malta and the Knights of Genoa. So anytime you consider yourself a Roman Catholic, just remember you're worshiping your slave master. And just you got to remember that Africans knew it was Frederick Douglass, again we come back to that guy, Frederick Douglass, who went to Philadelphia when he was withdrawing from the American Colonization Society. He came there when Lincoln gave him the half-dead white woman after he lost his black wife, died. And then he came there to withdraw. He had got the job here as Solicitor General. He went to Philadelphia to come and to leave and said, well, gentlemen, after all, how can you call me a black man or an African? He says, my father is a white man. My mother is a black woman, therefore I am colored. Henry Highland Garnet said, yes, Mr. Douglas, have you ever heard a mule bragging about his father? He always speaks about his mother, the horse, but never about his father, the jackass.
Praise and honor to the elders. This question is for Dr. Ben. Journalist Tony Brown wrote an article about the African ethnicity of the majority of the Greeks during the time that so-called Greek philosophy was supposed to be written. He analogized it to New York City being so multicultural, and the majority of the Greeks at that time were black. Could you speak to that, please? And could you also speak to any modern-day efforts to reestablish African-American Greek letter organizations to be the modern-day representations of what they were supposed to be, which is the mystery school system of inner development and spiritual development?
I don't know where Tony got his facts, but I could say I'd like to see the books, and I'd like to see the mummies. All I do know is that Greece as a nation, or as the first was called, was Pyrrhus, P-Y-R-R-H-U-S, was the remnants of a group of people that left Crete and the other islands of the Mediterranean, which were colonies of the ancient Egyptians. And when we say Egyptians, you could have come from, if people living in Egypt, Africans living in Egypt or Egyptians, they could have come from Ethiopia, from what is today Sudan, from Somalia, and so forth. There's no record of what that talk about the Greeks being Africans. There's no time when Africans were not there in certain amounts, but they were not African states. You could say the same thing. Rome had 3 African emperors. Honorius, Caracalla, and Septimus Sever and Caracalla. Caracalla was Septimus Sever's son. They were ambassadors from Greece, who were, Agamemnon was an Ethiopian, and they claimed others. For instance, when you go to Egypt and you pass the Colossae of Memnon, they claim that Memnon was a Greek. The Sphinx, the Greeks claim, was Abu Hal, which the Arabs call Abu Hal, the father of fear. So they claim, but there were no question that there were Africans living early Greeks as teachers. But to say that the population was Greek, any more so than Rome. Rome had, as I said, Septimus Severus, who conquered the French, Gaul, defeated Commodus, went and captured Angloland, which is now called England. It was Septimus Severus died in York in 185 of the Common Era. So that, I don't know where Tony got that journal from. Oh, for heaven's sake, don't charge me with being a Greek. I've got enough trouble to bring that nonsense on me. No, I'm not a Greek. I have nothing to do with it. Yes, I have some bastard children in Europe.
Okay. Thank you, Mango's and Lions. We got about another half an hour for questions. So be considerate. Brother.
Dr. Jackson, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clarke, I want to thank you all for being here. I've been involved with the Imani Temple. Father Stalls has recently, in essence, broken away from the Catholic Church. And even though he continually says he has not stepped outside the church, I think as things go on, more and more as he continues to search, he'll see, or come to a realization that his whole, I guess, idea of staying connected is something that it really should not be. And I wanted to ask if you had to sit down with him and share some advice or comments or just share anything with him, what would that be?
Who are you directing the question to?
Dr. Clarke.
I'm not too clear on this question. I'm sorry.
During the last couple of months, a local priest, George Stallings, has established the Imani Temple, African American Catholic congregation.
I'm familiar about that.
Right, and I'm wondering, it seems to me that as he continues to search, even though he says he wants to stay connected with Roman Catholicism, from all the things that I've seen and heard even the last couple of years, it seems to me that as he continues to search, he will come more and more to the realization that that would not be a reality. It cannot be a reality.
Well, I understand the question now.
Right, and I'm wondering if he was there beside you, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to go strong enough to make a complete break.
Yes, sir.
And to go back to that approach to spirituality that we had before the church. Look, I'm not irreligious. I'm not godless. And being without organized religion that I think is a faith, I think I'm really better and above all this rubbish. I think we should really understand that the church and the teachings of organized religion is not essential to a moral life.
All right.
It's not. I mean, I don't need anybody to tell me, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not violate thy neighbor's wife. I got enough common sense to know that. Because if I check out the size of my neighbor,
You know, about that organized religion, look what can happen. I would bet that I can't find, I may lose, but 10 Catholics in here